Hi guys, it's Tamika and I'm back with chapter 3 of the Anaya's World series. This is anytime soon and we're reading through the book, we're commenting, we're giving our opinions and our feedback. I'm not able to go live yet, but I'm recording these pre-recorded until I am able to go live. And just to do a quick recap, we went through chapter 1 and chapter 2. We got to meet the goods. We like them. The mom is figuring out some weight issues, as most women over 40 are doing, unless you're, super anatomically blessed. Dad works hard. Younger sister's a little messy. Brother sadly passed away tragically in an unresolved murder. The protagonist in the book is Anaya Good. She got on our nerves a little bit in the first chapter because she's all in everybody's business. She redeemed herself in the second chapter because we saw how good of a friend she was, how non-judgmental she is, and how loyal she is. So Anaya is the protagonist, two best friends, Sophie, a little bit of a coke habit, to be TBD, how to the extent of that coke habit. And then we have this friend, Katie, who has an interesting choice in profession. She is a woman of the evening. So we are starting with chapter 3, and I'm just gonna dig right in. Oh, we also found out that Anaya works at the faculty offices on campus. She's a college student graduating, I think this year, and she works in the faculty offices, so that's where we're starting here. All right, here we go. Sometimes I went to the faculty offices after hours to study. The offices had only recently closed for the day, so the lights were still on. I made a cup of coffee and set up my books. I studied for only 5 minutes before I started thinking about Katie. School would be a big change for Katie, in a good way. For the past few years, she partied with celebrities and shopped in places that most folks can only dream of. Living the life of a student would almost make her average again. I didn't know how she would handle that. My heart ached for my friend. When I heard my tears hit the textbook, I didn't bother to wipe them away. Anaya? I almost jumped out of my skin. Hi, Professor Alexander, I said, absentmindedly wiping my face with the back of my hand. I didn't realize anyone else was here. I'm just here studying for my microeconomics class. He gave me a funny look. That's fine. I thought everyone was gone already. I'm gonna step out for a bit. I'll be back. Okay, I said. Get back to the books, he smiled, then walked away. Thanks, I said. I was worried that he'd seen me crying. After studying for another hour, I got restless and wandered into his office. He still hadn't returned. He was apparently very busy because his office looked as if he had slept there. Disheveled papers littered his desk, and there was a pair of shoes in the corner by the couch. Instinctively, I started to clean up the mess. So why are you in this man's office cleaning up his stuff? I'm gonna stop there and I'm gonna just keep reading. But is it just me? Because why are you in this man's office cleaning up his stuff? Okay. As I sorted through the papers, I found all of the graded student assignments and piled them together. All of his office-related memos and documents went to another pile, and all of his assignments in progress and ungraded papers went into 2 separate piles. As I cleaned the desk, a woman and a small child stared at me with big smiles from a picture frame on the wall. Aside from the shoes and a pair of socks, his office was now tidy. I put the shoes under his desk and placed the socks in the desk bottom drawer. You touched his socks? Is everything okay? Professor Alexander asked, walking into his office. He probably is like, what the hell are you doing in here touching my socks and my shoes? That's what I would be thinking. I jumped. Of course you did. As I closed the drawer, I slammed my finger. I searched my brain for words, but it was all I could do to mask the sharp pain in my finger. I straightened up your office a little bit. I moved towards the door. My finger was still throbbing. He looked around the room, back at me, and then at his desk drawer. You had some socks in the corner, I said, still embarrassed. I put them in the desk drawer. He didn't say anything. I'm sorry, I stammered. I came to take a break from studying, and when I came in here, it looked like you had been busy. I know you don't normally keep your office like that. I mean messy, so I tried to straighten it up a bit. Thank you for straightening up the place for me, he said. Believe it or not, I'm normally a pretty neat person. Not leaving your socks all over? He smiled, but looked tired. He put his briefcase on a chair and sat down at his desk. Did you get the email I sent about helping me with that assignment, he asked. Yes, I got it. And? I'll look it over and get back to you by Friday. Is that too late? Professor Klein has me working on a project. I should be finished with it by Friday. That'll be fine. There's no rush. So if you have other things going on, I understand. I know the university fair is coming up, and I'm sure the Young Dems want to get a booth prepared. How does he know I'm a member of the Young Democrats? I looked at him to see if I could find an answer in his face. There was nothing. You're right, I said. I want to set up a booth, but we haven't been able to get approval yet. The Student Services Office is in charge of the fair, and they're trying to limit the booths to on-campus organizations. Oh, really? Is that a new policy, he asked. I don't know, but it sure sucks. He smiled, and so did I. Well, I guess it's always good to be passionate about something, he said, looking down at his desk again. Anyway, I have to get some work done, so right, I said. Me too. See ya. I turned around and almost tripped over a box of files. He smiled. I didn't. I straightened up and got out of there as gracefully and quickly as I could. The next morning when I got to work, I continued Professor Klein's project. As absorbing as the work was, it was not hard to notice that the cute mail delivery guy had breezed into the faculty offices as cheerful as ever. He was always smiling or singing. I didn't think I ever saw him in a down mood. I couldn't figure out why it irritated me a little that he was so happy all the time. You'd think I'd be more appreciative of his appearance. After all, he was the cutest guy who ever came into that office. Great biceps and a Colgate smile. I'd never seen him anywhere around campus, and I've never had him in a class, so I figured he was a freshman. I was always polite, but we never really talked. I didn't even know his name. He was one of those people who smiled so much that he looked different when he wasn't smiling. After leaving his card at the door, he brought the mail over to my desk. Good morning, he said. Good morning, I responded. How are you? He smelled like cinnamon. I'm good. You? I'm good. My tone was formal, but my smile was more. At least I hoped it was. So, do you go to school here, he asked, or you just work here? Both, I said. Oh, me too. What year are you? I hope this is my last year. How about you? He was still beaming, but the smile was not so broad anymore. This is my first year here, he said. I transferred from a JC in the Valley, so technically I'm a sophomore. Oh, I said. What's your major? Psychology. Now, I was curious. Really? What do you plan to do with your degree? Run group homes, he said. Oh, not just any group homes. One that helps prepare young men for life and success. I don't want to do it for the money only. A lot of people open group homes with a vision, and then they end up losing the vision and focusing on the profit instead. When he spoke, his hands carved the air, accenting his words, and his eyes lit up. What's your major? He asked. Same as yours, I said. Psychology. Interesting, he said. I guess I'll be seeing you in some classes then. Probably not. I've already taken most of my required classes. Well, I'm going to turn the question around on you, he said. What do you plan to do with your degree? He asked. He seemed genuinely interested, but I was at work and didn't want the conversation to get too personal. Just then, Professor Alexander walked by. Well, I said to the mail clerk in a more hushed tone, I had thought about employment therapy and counseling, but I'm not so sure anymore. It seems like the closer I get to finishing, the less sure I become about what I want to do. I was surprised at how honest and open I was being with him. Oh, wow, he said, that's cool. He gave me another one of those patented smiles. Is it cool working in this office, he asked. I actually applied for a position here recently, but I heard somebody beat me to it. I frowned. Yeah, I said, we just recently got somebody to work in the afternoons. It's okay working here, not a lot of stress, and the professors are nice. There were a few seconds of silence, then he smiled, tapped the top of my desk, and turned to leave. I'll let you get back to work, he said. I guess I'll see you around. Maybe, I smiled again. Can I ask you a question? He said. Sure. What's your name? Ah, finally. That's the question you should have asked in the first place, I said with a grin. He smiled. Anaya Good, I said, reaching to shake his hand. Well, it's nice to meet you, Anaya Good. You have a nice day. Are you going to tell me your name? I asked. He had gotten cuter and cuter as the conversation progressed. Carl. Just Carl, huh? Well, it was nice meeting you, Carl, with no last name. See ya, he said, and left. No lunch invitation, no last name. It had been a while since I'd been on a date, and even though I wasn't looking for a boyfriend, it would have been nice to have at least been invited on a date. I turned to look in the mirror to see if I had something in my teeth and precluded a potential invitation. There was nothing there. Hey! I looked up and Carl was back, smiling. I didn't respond because I had a fingernail stuck between my teeth. How embarrassing. I quickly dropped the finger. Would you like to have lunch with me sometimes this week, Miss Good? That would be nice, I said. He walked over me and handed me a piece of paper with his phone number and email address written on it. He had a nice little swag in his walk. Holla at me, Miss Good, he invited. I smiled. There's no shame in admitting that I need a little dating action. I'm also not ashamed to say that Carl, with no last name, might be just what I needed to get my groove back. This time I'm gonna be cool, I thought to myself. Just enjoy dating, just have a little fun. I think Mom was right when she extended my therapy with Judy. I've always been an intense thinker. People often respond to something I say with, I never thought about it like that, or I hadn't thought about that at all. I certainly picked the right major. I loved delving into other people's minds and thoughts and trying to figure out why they react or don't react the way they do. So I'm easily drawn to the daily problems of my friends and family. But at the same time, I'm unsure where my own life should be headed. It's always like that. You're always trying to figure out some stuff for other people who can't figure out your own life. Like literally, it's always like that. Because I was in my last year as a psychology major, all of my classes were related to psychology, particularly female-related issues. My favorite class was Women in the Workforce. Recently, we discussed the typical woman who worked a day job and then had to go to her home job. I was sure that I didn't want to get stuck in that trap. Welcome, honey, none of us do. Through the psychology department, there were lots of opportunities to train under licensed therapists. Even though getting such an internship position was highly competitive, I was sure I could get one. But I didn't apply right away because those therapists were mainly helping rich married women who were bored with their housework. I didn't want to do that kind of therapy. I wanted to do worthwhile therapy. I wanted to reach out to children who didn't understand why their moms were unable to care for them because of some addiction. I wanted to listen to young girls who had been abused or neglected and couldn't understand why they were unable to find happiness. I believe we are all put here for a purpose, and my purpose was to hear the hearts and minds of those kids who had no one else to listen to them. Talking is not therapy. Being heard is therapy. I went to the student lounge for lunch. Normally, I brought food to the office, but every once in a while, I like to sit in the lounge and watch the other students. Sitting down at one of the tables that faced the TV, I watched music videos as I ate my salad. Wanting to get a little more comfortable, I decided to go into the faculty lounge, which was right next door. It wasn't officially open to students, but some of us who worked in the faculty offices had a key. I was one of the lucky few. Hi, Anaya, a familiar voice greeted me. Hey, Professor Alexander, I replied. I never see you in here. Well, I'm normally too busy for lunch, but today I needed a little something to keep me going, and I had to get out of that office. I come here every once in a while myself. How's microeconomics going? It's going, I groaned. I didn't like talking about subjects that were hard for me. It'll be behind me soon, though. The semester's almost over. I could definitely use a break, I said. Yeah, I hear you, he said, sitting down across from me. I need a break, too. A long one, actually. Can I ask you a question? I asked. Of course, he said with a warm smile. How do you find time to teach and practice law? Teaching is my passion, he said. I started out as an adjunct and really enjoyed it. It took a lot of prep time and a lot of time reading and exams, but I loved it. At about the same time, there were some issues with the law firm I worked for. Things didn't work out, so I left and started my own firm. The university offered me 2 more classes to teach, and I accepted. By now, I was half finished with my salad, and he hadn't even touched his soup. Because I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do in life, I wanted to ask him why he decided to become a lawyer. But for some reason, I couldn't ask him because I felt shy. I let him go on about grading papers and the stress of finals. He didn't say much about his work at the firm, and I wondered if he enjoyed teaching law more than practicing it. I'm boring you, aren't I? He said, suddenly looking embarrassed. No, you're not, I said. I like listening to people talk. He gave me a strange look. Then he said, I guess that's your nice way of saying I'm talking too much? No. I just meant I'm interested in you. I'm interested in what you're saying. You are a bumbling idiot, Anaya, I thought to myself. He looked at something behind me and I followed his glance. Carl had just walked into the lounge. Hey, you, he called to me. Hey, yourself, I responded with a smile. How's it going, Professor Alexander, he said. I'm hanging in there, Carl. How about yourself? I'm good, he said, still looking at me. What are you doing in here, Carl? I asked. Oh, I come in here sometimes. I have keys to all the rooms in this building, so I come here to chill or study. Staff is okay with it. Right, Professor? Carl hadn't taken his eyes off me since he came in the room. That's right, Carl. Well, I can see it's time for me to go. I'll see you back at the office, Anaya. Later, Professor, Carl said. Bye, I said. When Professor Alexander left, Carl continued staring at me. What? I asked. Why don't you have a boyfriend? What? You heard me. Why don't you have a boyfriend? How do you know I don't? I said. Do you have a boyfriend? He was slick. No, I don't. Can I be your boyfriend? How about we start with lunch? I said. I'd rather start with being your boyfriend, he said, but I'll settle for lunch. What do you do for fun, Miss Good? Fun? What's that? I laughed. We ended up talking for a half an hour. His smile had grown on me, and I was enjoying his company. Well, I said, I have to get back to work, you know. Yeah, I gotta get out of here too, he said. We stood up at the same time and found ourselves facing each other. Close. It was nice talking to you, Anaya Good, he said with that famous smile. It was nice talking to you too, Carl, with no last name. For a few seconds, we just stood there. It was awkward, but neither of us moved. Finally, I picked up my bag, hoisted it on my shoulder, and started walking away. I'm gonna call you so we can have that lunch, he called after me. You don't have my number. Well, you call me. You have mine. I'll think about it, I said over my shoulder. They are so cute. Oh, they are so cute. Okay. I like Carl. He seems like he's a genuine guy. I like Anaya. I'm not sure what's going on with this professor. I do feel a little bit of chemistry or something happening there. You guys can tell me what you think. But I like this. I like the interaction that they're having together. I like that they both work together, haven't seen each other on campus. So this was chapter 3. Let me know what you guys think, okay? Thanks.